Hello and welcome to Ryno's Orioles Report. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. So it was a very lucrative weekend for the Baltimore Orioles. Swept the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati. A lot of very good came out of this series. Pitching, hitting in some games. Was one blemish really that kept it from being a perfect series. Many things really happened that were just fantastic. As you can see, I'm on MASNsports.com, and let's get into the series that I'm calling fantastic. Game number one, Friday's game. Baltimore Orioles at the Cincinnati Reds in the Great American Ballpark, or as it's nicknamed, the Great American Small Park. Baltimore Orioles 3, Cincinnati Reds 0. It's a way to get the series off. Yep. Gunnar Henderson, 2 hits, walked once. Rutschman, 1 hit, 1 RBI, 1 run scored, walked once. Ryno Hearn, getting some at-bats in there. It seems like we see him in there a little too sparingly. 2 hits, 2 RBIs, 1 run scored. That's kind of why I say it's a little too sparingly. Doesn't face a lot of lefties. Mountcastle, 2 hits. Santander, 0. Mullins, 0. Westberg, 0. Ugh. Even though I said it was a perfect series, almost. Heston Kjerstad got another start in the outfield. He's a lefty. He's a power hitter. Orioles could use some more of that. Well, yeah, I mean, as far as power hitters, the archetype of a batter, right? While Henderson can hit home runs, was he labeled as a power hitter, or is he more of a great hitter? Because he can do so many other things. He can hit singles, he can hit doubles, he can hit triples, he can run the bases really well. I mean, would you define Henderson as a power hitter? No. But you do want different archetype hitters in the lineup. Because if you just have all power hitters, then it's kind of easy to set your pitching staff up to counter that. You have different style of hitters, then you can, as a lineup, you can usually take advantage of the pitcher and his disadvantages. I'm not a huge fan of Kjerstad playing the outfield. I think he is somewhat of a liability, but the plate appearances, or how do we call them, Kjerstad's time at the plate, is proving to be somewhat competitive at bats anyway. Is he getting tons of RBIs and tons of home runs? No, but he is having competitive at bats, not just, giving up outs. Kjerstad, yes, 1 hit, 2 walks, which is very good. I mean, that's 4 plate appearances. You're on base 3 times. That's great. Especially for a young guy like that. Ryan McKenna gets thrown out there in left field late in games. No Austin Hayes still as of yet, so McKenna's still on the roster. See how that's going to turn out. So defensive replacement, because Kjerstad not that good in the outfield. Mateo getting a lot more playing time with Jackson Holliday not being around, taking advantage of it. 1 hit, 1 run scored. He's not going to be a big RBI guy, but if he can get on base, he's got the speed. Good to see him scoring a run there. And you want guys like this, maybe even, Kjerstad too, on the bases when Henderson comes up and when Rutschman comes up. Because yes, they're, Henderson and Rutschman, they're great hitters and you want them at the top of your lineup. But why I say I kind of want them further down a little bit, because I want people on in front of them. It just makes for more runs scored. So when the bottom of the lineup can get on base, I like that. Mountcastle Rutschman with doubles. O'Hearn home run. Stolen bases, one each for Mountcastle and Mateo. Yeah, Mountcastle stealing another base. Some of these Oriole runners are getting too big for their britches. You'll see maybe not the next game, but the game after that. Cole Irvin with the start in this one. Wow. Really turning things around, huh, Cole Irvin? Kind of shaky last year, his first year with the Orioles, as a starting pitcher. But I guess, getting woken up here a little bit, Bradish and Means started the season not in the rotation, and they're coming. You better make good on this opportunity, or you will be the first guy knocked out. He wasn't the first guy knocked out this time around. But who knows coming up. Very nice performance. It's going to be very hard to knock him out of the rotation if Cole Irvin keeps pitching like this. 6 1/3 innings pitched, only gives up 2 hits, doesn't give up any runs, and doesn't give up any walks. Wow. Only strikes out 4, but Cole Irvin's not exactly a huge strikeout guy. So 4 strikeouts in 6 innings, that's great. Cano, that's right, Cano, early. 7th inning. It's still, the last third of the game, so it's suitable for Cano. It's odd. We don't often see Cano come in before Coulomb. I guess just the way the lineup kind of goes. Red's got a guy, Ellie De La Cruz. I'll have to, De La Cruz. Left-handed hitter. He's pretty good. So Coulomb really, saving that bullet for De La Cruz. Cano finishes off the 7th inning, gets the 2 outs. No hits, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. Okay. Coulomb gets the 8th inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. Craig Kimbrell. I knew I was going to fumble on his name. Could have been ready a game or 2 earlier, but, the scoring just didn't work out. So Kimbrell finally gets back into the game. First game of the Cincinnati series, and it goes, damn near perfectly. 1 full inning pitch to the 9th inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Wow. Throws 16 pitches, 12 of them were strikes. Wow, okay. Makes you think that, yes, it was just, random back tightness, I guess, or maybe back tightness from a little bit of overuse. So we'll see how. We're just going to have to see how the rest of the season goes. We're not even, what are we, a month, 5 weeks into the season? Really kind of got to let another month go by before we really evaluate how this Kimbrell signing. And I'm stealing somebody's words, and I'll mention the article in a minute. Let's come to game 2, Saturday's game. Baltimore Orioles 2, Cincinnati Reds 1. Very tight game. Very low scoring game. At least, well, I think we're kind of used to it at this point. Sometimes the hitters take a game off and sometimes they don't. Henderson 1 hit, also walked once. Rutschman 3 hits, 1 RBI, 1 run scored. Mountcastle 1 hit. Santander over. Westberg over. Wow, is that back-to-back games? Yeah, that was. Westberg did walk in the previous game, but wow. Santander, Westberg, back-to-back offers. Ugh. Mateo actually moved up in the lineup here. 1 hit, 1 RBI, 1 run scored. Mullins, 1 hit. James McCann, hitless. McKenna actually got a start in this game. It's good to see, McKenna get some starts, get some guys a day off. Of course, at the same time, you got no Austin Hayes. Cowser, you're trying to give Cowser a break. This was a lefty. I think Abbott was a lefty, I'm pretty sure. Couldn't get a hit in this one. disappointing, but you kind of almost expect that for at least what he's currently labeled as the fourth outfielder. Cowser does get a pinch hit, the matchup there. Right-handed hitter versus left-handed hitter. That's why the swap was made. And Cowser didn't get a hit. Mullins double, Mateo, Rutschman home runs. Wow. Again, this is adding to why I thought this was a damn near perfect series. Of course, you can also see why it was only damn near and not perfect. John Means, that's right. We thought he was returning at the end of last year, but then it was an elbow or shoulder soreness or fatigue or something, and he just couldn't make the playoff roster. Well, hopefully he's back for good this time. Hopefully. Like the return of John Means, this time with a vengeance, because 7 innings pitched, only gives up 3 hits, doesn't give him any runs, doesn't give him any walks, strikes out 8. Wow. Okay. I mean, John Means is good, and we expect to see some strikeouts for him. Have we ever seen John Means strike out more batters than innings pitched? I don't know. Usually he's like right at that line or below it. Struck out 8 this time, going 7 innings. Whew. How about that? Mr. Perez. Nice to see Mr. Perez here get into a high leverage situation in the 8th inning. Low scoring game. He's here in the 8th inning, getting a hold. 1 full inning pitched. Yes, he did give up a hit. Had to ruin it for us. Gave up that 1 hit. Didn't give up a run. Didn't walk anybody. Strike anybody out. But again, zeros other than that 1 hit. That's great. Here's where everybody wants to say, see, I told you about Kimbrel. See, butchered, fumbling his name again. Kimbrel, on for the save. Yeah. Only able to record 1 out as he gave up 2 hits, 1 run scored, walked 1. Did strike batter out. It's tough to see what this is. And yes, this is why I'm saying, and I'm stealing Rock Kubako's words here from his article. We are only like 5 weeks into the season. We got, what do we got? 20 more? 25 more? 30 more? I don't remember anymore. It's a little too early. And Orioles are in a lot of tight games. They don't have a lot of options in the back end. We were without CNL Perez for a while, so it was just Coulomb and Cano and Kimbrel, and Kimbrel's kind of the old man out there. Can you rely on his body to hold up for a whole season if you're going to go to him back-to-back nights? Should you be able to? Yes. But you're also getting a closer for only $13 million a year. What do you expect? Him to be able to pitch 2 out of every 3 games? I don't know. I'd go with every other game, in my opinion. I almost would have suggested, yes, and I know hindsight 2020, of course, I like to make my joke hindsight. Maybe you should have just gone to Cano. Seeing as how you did pitch Kimbrel last night. Might have been better just to throw Cano in there. Maybe get him experience, get him more experience, especially with a guy like Kimbrel out there to maybe lean on a little bit. He wouldn't have to close every game, maybe a few games here and there. He wouldn't be solely the guy. He would be like one of the guys, Might have been better. And just make sure you can keep Kimbrel around this whole year. But at the same time, Kimbrel was facing this Cincinnati Reds lineup, who I know people want to dog, but they're kind of young, talented crew out there. They came into this series, what was their record? 16-15. Yeah, it's not like the greatest record, but they were above 500. They're not now because they got swept. They had a couple of really good players on that team, and when you're facing the heart of the Cincinnati Reds lineup, you would expect you might give up a hit or two. You got a pinch hitter coming on, and he's usually the guy that's batting cleanup when there's a righty on the mound. Right? John Means started, so this Fraley guy right here, one of the culprits against Kimbrel, he's usually not in there. Or he usually is in there batting cleanup. He wasn't because there was a lefty on the mound, so they gave him a day off. Kind of hurts when you have to face this guy off the bench. And then the lineup flips over to India, and then De La Cruz, and then you get to the heart of their order. Not the easiest task for anybody. You would expect your closer to be able to do it, but again, when you're just coming off of this back stiffness, tightness thing, or whatever it actually was, probably would be better to stay away from him. But Cano comes in and rescues us. Gets the final 2 outs in the 9th inning, saves the game. He does walk somebody. Excuse me. He doesn't give up a hit, a run, but he does walk a batter, and he does strike a batter out. So, again, I mean, even Cano had a blemish here. He walked somebody. To a certain extent, some of that is on the umpires, because the umpires, the only thing consistent about these umpires is that the strike zone is inconsistent. So, that could play into it a lot. Here was the blowout game. This was Sunday's game. Baltimore Orioles 11, Cincinnati Reds 1. Yeah. Again, hindsight. Well, Brandon Hyde screwed this one up again. We could have had another save, and it could have been a shutout. But no, I'm going to take this guy out. I'm going to put this other guy in. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, whatever. Kind of annoyed about that. We'll get to that when I get to the pitching side of this. Henderson DH'd this game. I don't think he likes DHing that much. No hits. He did walk twice, score once, but I don't know that he likes DHing. But it could just be me. I could just be taking a wild guess here. Rutschman, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Mountcastle, 1 hit, 1 run scored. Santander gets some hits. 3 hits, 5 RBIs, scored twice, walked once. Wow. There you go. Way to break it out. Westberg, 1 hit, 2 RBIs, 1 run scored. Mateo, over. Everybody else is hit. You're striking out 3 times. This is disappointing. McKenna getting to start in center field this time around. Give Mullins a day off. Really need to start doing that with some of the regulars. 1 hit, 1 RBI, 2 runs scored, walked once. Cowser, 1 hit, 1 RBI, 1 run scored, walked once. Mona Rios. There you go. I mean, that's probably why you want to DH Henderson in at least one game, because then, you get Mateo and Arias and Westberg in the lineup at the same time. Of course, at the same time, you have no defensive replacement for him, because Henderson's in a DH. But Brandon Hyde, he grew up in the National League, so he can handle that. 2 hits and 3 runs scored for Arias. Mountcastle, Arias, Rutschman, Cowser doubles. Santander, McKenna, Westberg home runs. Santander actually hit a grand slam in this. This was one of the up here in the 9th inning. Really blew it open there. This was bad. Westberg, Cowser get a caught stealing. Santander, Westberg, Cowser pissed off. Yeah, pissed off. I'm pissed off. They were picked off. To a certain extent, I think some of that was the umpires and their judgment call, whether the pitcher on the mound, who happened to be a lefty each time here, was it a balk or was it a legal move? It's tough to say. I mean, the rule book is kind of ambiguous there. You're not allowed to deceive runners in certain ways. Well, you're trying to deceive the runner. You're picking your leg up in a certain motion that you can get all the way up. and still not have to commit to the plate. You're purposely trying to deceive the runners. What? I don't know what. I mean, there's even part of the rules where, and again, really it's based on judgment because there's no markers out there. When they plant their foot, you put the right foot down to throw. If it's too far towards the plate, then you're going to the plate, and it's a balk. You have to go more towards first base. Well, it's a judgment call, right? And you're doing it in a point to deceive the runner. Well, you deceived him. Should any of those been called balks? I mean, 3 times? Yeah, one of those should have been called a balk. It's guaranteed. It's just guaranteed. You picked off Santa. He was like 3 feet off the base. I don't know what. So, yeah. Anyway, that one should have been a balk because, yeah, but, whatever. None of them were called balks. But I'm sure all the umpires were calling the game correctly. Yeah, that doesn't happen. Great starting pitching continued. Dean Kramer gets a start in this one. 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, walks 1, strikes out 6. Getting a little bit elevated of a pitch count, or maybe he could have gone 7, but you'll take this line for 6 innings. Albert Suarez, it almost went perfectly because you wanted to have a great performance from Kramer, but you also wanted it to not be so great that you couldn't let Suarez go at least 2 innings. Because we wanted to see Suarez out of the bullpen. Plus, he hasn't pitched in 5 days? And it really did go perfectly. Brandon Hogg kind of screwed this up. But Suarez pitches 2 1/3 of an inning. Yeah, he only needed 2 outs to get the 3 innings pitched. Well, I'm a little pissed. No hits, no runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. He threw 24 pitches. Yeah, he could have gotten the next 2 outs. Oh no, Mike Baumann hasn't pitched in 2 or 3 days and we have an off day tomorrow. Well, you know what? That's Mike Baumann's fault because he hasn't been pitching that well. You robbed Suarez of a save. Why? Because I wanted to get Mike Baumann some work. Well, you know what? Mike Baumann needs to start pitching better. Because right now, especially after Suarez's performance, Baumann's the next man out. Sorry. If this was last year, I would have said, oh, well, Aiken's the first man out. But it kind of looks like Aiken has turned a corner, and Baumann, you kind of regressed a little bit. I don't know, man. And, he's out of options, so it's kind of terrible timing, I guess. But comes in for the last 2 outs in the 9th inning, gives up 2 hits, 1 run, 2 walks. Just strike a batter out, which is nice. But, come on now. You walk 2 batters? It's 11-0. You walk 2 batters? You're kidding me. I don't want to hear that it's because he's too stale. Okay, he hasn't pitched in 3 days. You got to find a way to stay sharp. You can't oh, I haven't pitched in 3 days. That's why I'm walking people. That's Hyde has done this a few times. A few times he's let the guy stay in there for 3 innings and get to save, but I feel like he's done it at least once this year already, and I feel like he did it. Didn't he do it to Aiken earlier? And I feel like he did it to DL Hall at least once last year. It's just let him get another out and let him get a save. Why? So Mike Baumann can give up the shutout? Banging on the table and shaking things. Hopefully the camera's still upright or lined up right. Kind of annoying. But, oh well. 3 wins is 3 wins, so it's fine. By all means, don't get Albert Suarez a save just so Mike Baumann can get some work in. Okay. All right, let's go to some articles. This one written by Rock Kubatko. Yeah, he's talking a little bit about Terrin Vavra in this. Kind of where Terrin Vavra has been. I guess I kind of forgot about it, but he did have shoulder surgery last fall. I did. I mean, I completely forgot about it, and that's why we haven't really seen him too much. Talking about him being an option, maybe coming back, utility role type of dude. Even though I don't really like his outfield play that much, because he's just out there. He can run, he can track the ball, he can field the ball. But does he field the ball in the right way that runners won't take an extra base on him? No. At least the last time I saw him play the outfield, he wasn't able to do that. So I'm not really too interested in seeing Terrin Vavra anymore right now. At least at this point with the way the roster is. Because also as another infielder, which primarily is what Terrin Vavra is, you got Jackson Holliday and he hits left-handed. Westberg, Arias, Mateo currently on the roster, your infield options, they all hit right-handed. Henderson's the only one that hits left-handed. So, although that is Terrin Vavra. But again, Jackson Holliday probably a better option there, maybe. Also in this, Austin Hayes. Austin Hayes is going to be starting his rehab assignment in Bowie real soon. Talking about what the options do when Hayes is ready. Well, it really points out three options. One, and again, Rock mentions this and it's like, only because it's technically possible. It'd be, we don't think this is likely. But Hayes actually has options left. Or an option left. At least one option left. So, could he be optioned to the minors? Yes, he could, technically. But, Gold Glove candidate. Plays great defense for Camden Yards left field. Made an all-star team. You going to send this guy to the minors? I don't know. At least not while McKenna's on the roster, because as far as I'm concerned, Austin Hayes is much better defensively than Ryan McKenna. Yes, Ryan McKenna is very good defensively, but Austin Hayes definitely has a better arm. Ryan McKenna going down would be an option. Though McKenna actually doesn't have options remaining. Disappointing. May not actually, might actually lose McKenna. I mean, he would have to clear the waivers and then accept the assignment. He may not do that. Kjerstad is probably, I think, the more obvious choice, at least in my opinion. He doesn't play defense that well. Right now, as far as your outfielders, you got Mullins out there, hits left-handed. You got Kalzer, he hits left-handed. You got Santander, he's a switch hitter. Austin Hayes hits right-handed. What you don't need is another left-handed power-hitting corner outfielder first baseman type like Kjerstad. You got one like that in, I told you earlier because he hasn't been playing that much, O'Hearn. Does it really benefit Kjerstad to be up here? He needs to go down to minor leagues and figure out how to play the outfield. I think his defense is a little shaky. That's just my opinion. And honestly, probably exactly what Rock Kubatko thinks. I don't know. Probably half stealing it from his article. Steve Molesky writes this article. Biggest thing here is Rodriguez is starting a throwing program. Steve Molesky didn't go into like who would be called up or sent down or how to get Rodriguez back on the roster yet. He didn't go into that. But Rodriguez, so far there have been no further setbacks, and Rodriguez is starting the process to come back. A throwing program. That's really all that is. So it doesn't look to be any worse than what we were told originally as of right now with Rodriguez. Let's take a look at the schedule, wrap this up, and get out of here. Off day today, Monday, Tuesday, at the Washington Nationals, 6:45 start time, scheduled start time. Wednesday, 6:45 scheduled start time. This is only a 2-game set here. Something Major League Baseball has been doing with the schedule recently, as far as the National League team and the American League teams that are close in proximity. Orioles and Nationals are kind of one of the, like the Yankees and the Mets are another one. Trying to build the American League, National League rivalry kind of thing. Sell some extra tickets, I guess. Whatever. They call it like a home and home series. Like 2 at home and 2 at home. Like, all right, I don't know why you call it whatever. Then an off day, Thursday, and then back here in Baltimore to face the Diamondbacks. So this is going to do it for this edition of Ryno's Orioles Report. Stay tuned for Thursday, and I will discuss the Washington Nationals and the Baltimore Orioles series. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I am the Angry Ryno, and this is Birdland.